I'm basically an architect, and I shifted into environment and social work about 13 years ago when I joined an organization called the International Institute for Sustainable Future, and that was headed by Dr. Roshni Udyavar, who was a very well-known international environmentalist. And it was in the year 2000 that came to Montreal, and there was a proposal to for this conference summit. And I remember him calling me back from Montreal and saying very enthusiastically that here's an organization which is working dedicatedly to the cause of children, and we must support them. And that was the year that Dr. Mayur was the co-president of the summit. And since then, we've always been part of OPCR. And even after I left that organization several years later, I remember I joined OPCR as in Mumbai. We set up the office in Mumbai, and about in 2006. And I think in all these years of work, what has really inspired us and motivated us is the people that are at the core of OPCR. And whenever I come back here, I feel like it's a family, and it's a wonderful organization. And today, when I heard all these talks, people from all over the world sharing so many things, it was such a great experience. I feel that all of you are now part of the family, and that we continue to spread the spirit of OPCR everywhere. Thank you.
From her, he truly regrets that he could not be here to celebrate the 25th anniversary of this organization, which is the event we're celebrating tonight. I'd like to take a few minutes to relate how I first became involved with the organization in 1986. My political advisor, Tony Maguletti, had introduced me to Ricaardoe Di Done, founding president of the OPCR. Ricaardoe needed a grant for the first International Congress on the Child, and he planned to organize the topic on children and divorce. Knowing the disastrous effects that separation and divorce can have on children and their families, and seeing how committed Ricaardoe was to finding solutions to alleviate the suffering, we believe that it was the most worthy cause that was deserving of the grant. Great work was accomplished over the years. Ricaardoe was the most dedicated defender of children's rights, which is true. His lifelong mission is to make this world a better place for children. I wish you a most pleasant evening, and congratulations to the organization's its founding president, Ricaardoe Di Done, the Honour Committee, the Scientific Committee, the Board of Directors, the dedicated staff, and please keep up the good work. The Honourable Herbert Marks, Justice, Superior Court of Quebec, retired, former Minister of Justice of Quebec. We thank you very much, Herbert.
It's 17 years I'm at the court where I am now, and I noticed that as the years go by, the accused that come before me are more and more younger. So we get a lot of children, I still call them children, 18, 19, 20. Our first instinctive reaction is to say, well, why did they do that? They should be punished. We should increase the penalties on younger criminals. We should treat them as adults instead of going through the youth division of the court. Ricaardoe made me realize one thing, is that if the children have reached that point, it's the parents' responsibility most of the time. Obviously there are exceptions, but I think as a generation of parents, we've failed a lot of the younger people. So we should be less critical of them and more critical of the parents that are supposed to be there to watch over them. So that's what Ricaardoe taught me since I've known him. Thank you.
People we can discuss. The young people have to be facilitated to know each other. The young people from Latin America, they have to know about the young people in Africa. The young Americans have to know about the young Asian people. The people who are not talking, Palestinians and Israelis, Africans and Argentinians, they have to talk, they have to meet and talk when there is a chance. The major issues that we should be addressing, or the issues that the UN bodies and governments are addressing, climate change, poverty, and the rest. So I thank you, Mr. Ricaardoe, because in your small way, you are making your own contribution through OPCR. We move along in small steps. All of us would like to do grand and sweeping things and make changes that are dramatic, but changes very frequently move incrementally. And I'll give you a very small example of how Ricardo never gives up. We were discussing a provision in the Adoption Act in British Columbia, and I said, well, Ricardo, why don't I ask our local member of the legislature and see if we can meet with the appropriate minister. So we arrived in Victoria. The minister was not there. The deputy minister was not there. There were some mid-level staff members there who listened to us politely, said, thank you very much, you're doing great work, keep it up. Goodbye, it's been a pleasure here. Subsequently, and I can't tell you exactly when, that little change actually appeared in the adoption. And that's how Ricardo works. Incrementally, he never gives up. And God bless you, may you never give up.
I met Ricardo in 2000 when we had the International Federation of Social Workers Conference in Montreal. And I remember the conversation very well. For those of you who have had the pleasure of the first meeting with Ricardo, he is incredibly personable. And he makes one feel interesting and important and whatever. But he also wanted to talk about the things that are my passion, and that is young people. Yeah, he's stubborn and opinionated, dedicated, but he has an optimism, a belief that right things will happen. It is really quite different from most people. He gets disappointed. He gets angry on occasion. But somehow that isn't what drives his behavior. He believes that in spite of all that, people will do the right thing. If you just give them the opportunity to learn, to think, they will do what is necessary, particularly what is necessary on behalf of young people. And that's a wonderful energy to be around. I work in my everyday life with young people, and particularly young people who don't have anybody, and young people who've been left behind. They're young people who say to me that when I came into the care of government, I became invisible. Well, those are the young people, part of the young people population that Ricardo cares about. And because he cares about them, and that's my passion, that's our connection to us. So I really value our relationship, and I really value the work that you do. It's my privilege, my pleasure, and I thank you very much, and stay optimistic. Thanks.
I would ask you to bring on a light note towards the end of this roast. So, yeah, well, before I do that, I also want to say that I became familiar with the OPCR. I became acquainted with the OPCR in 1999 when I was invited from South Africa to present a paper at the 4th International Conference regarding children and violence. In my mind, the aim of OPCR is to win the minds and the hearts of all people who seriously and sincerely want to create healthy and stable families in our communities. I've also been asked to read a letter from one of Ricardo's dear friends. I met Ricardo over 30 years ago, and he still looks like he's 29, and he's still holding. I know that Ricardo is a man of the hour, day, month, and year. For his dedication and love and determination for the OPCR is what keeps it moving forward that will last 25 years. In closing, I wish you another 25 years of success, Ricaardoe, and may we, in our youth, that's 100 years plus, have fond and wonderful memories of your many successes. Keep up the good work. The world will need you now more than ever. Sincerely, your best friend, Dr. David Yareko. Thank you.
Somebody that's been behind me from the beginning of my life, always was there since I was born, basically. When I was that broke, I didn't have to ask her money because I would never ask money to nobody. She knew, the only one that found out. Whenever I had problems, she was there and supported me. She would always be there for you, no matter what. And as we mentioned, none other than my godmother, Ricaardoe Di Done. Please stand.
Dear sir, needless to tell you how filled with joy my heart is today when I saw the program and content for the 7th International Conference, Sustainable Best Practice in Children and Youth Program, organized by the Organization for the Protection of Children's Rights. So many programs that will make the difference for our children. But by the same token, my heart is so sad. It's hard to imagine that while we had the most prosperous economy ever, our financial poverty increased. I know that you will do the utmost so that children of the future will have what it takes to succeed and flourish. Let us fill the new generation with self-esteem, and we shall all live in a great world. Mr. Di Done, I am really sad that I couldn't be with you for this very special event, the 26th anniversary of UPCR, because I'm presently in Afghanistan. From a child that had 7 name change, was adopted twice, as a new spouse of my mother, but because of an individual great perseverance and determination, both adoptions were set aside, allowing myself to maintain my true identity. Dad, thank you so much for doing everything possible legally to ensure that I could retain my natural dad, grandparents, and my true identity. Thank you for not abandoning me, and thank you for always being there for me. Dad, I love you so much. Yes, just like in the old days, all the way around. As you always said, the sky's not the limit, but just the beginning. I wish you all the best to you and your team. Love always your son, Ricaardoe Jr.
So that's what kids need, the love of a mom, a dad, aunt, uncle, grandparents. Let us give them love. Let us be involved with them, and you'll see that most kids will tick. Yes, you may have some, some of them that maybe they have psychological problem or whatever, but in general, kids will be successful and will become a jewel of society.
Happy birthday party, let us sing a song to my friend Ricaardoe, been waiting oh so long. Happy birthday party, we're all back here as one. Sit back and relax, get ready to join the fun. Way back in '83, Ricaardoe took the lead with humble beginnings. Each promise he did keep. Ricaardoe had a vision to fight for Ricky's son. Little did we know then which battles would be won. OPCR, you're 26 today. OPCR, you have shown the way. OPCR, you're 26 today. OPCR, you have shown the way. All nations are invited. Join us, you will see how Ricaardoe's vision unlocks the mystery. Please don't let me go, Papa. A book on family care. Please don't let me go, Papa. People be aware. Through all his journey. happy birthday to you. Roshni played a central part. Roshni Udyavar gave a fresh new start. The global message, north, south, east and west, reminds all NGOs to do their utmost best. Please don't let me help, Papa, becomes a nation's plea. So listen, all you families, I'm sure you'll all agree. It's time to unite now and stop the chore and strife. Let us work together and lead a healthy life. OPCR, you're 26 today. OPCR, you have shown the way. OPCR, you're 26 today.